When I was a little boy, I got a video game called Minecraft. In this game, you live in a world made of blocks, and sometimes you build things with blocks. One time, I joined an online multiplayer world and spent days of my limited, fragile, mortal life building a home base that I ended up being quite proud of. When the base neared completion, I stepped back and looked upon my creation. Content with my work, I smiled to myself and logged off for the night. The next day, after I got home from school, I logged back into the game to see what new epic freaking adventures I had in store that day, only to find my several days' labor completely razed to the ground, utterly obliterated, and I cried. I had been griefed. Griefing is a term used in computer games for when a player harasses or gives grief to another player in a multiplayer game. It's kind of like trolling and could probably be categorized as a type of trolling, but I think griefing is specifically when you fuck with someone through gameplay. The concept of griefing as we know it seems to have arisen around the same time that online gaming was starting to get popular. Before online play, griefing was relegated to fucking pantsing your brother when it was his turn on Super Mario. Your brother pantsing you when it was your turn on Super Mario. But when the internet and video games decided it was time to bump uglies after the barn dance, and people could now interact completely anonymously with one another, potentially from separate corners of the earth, with next to no repercussions or oversight, that's when things got griefy. That's a shitty line. In the late 90s and early 2000s, a bunch of popular online games came out. Counter-Strike, a completely apolitical team-based POV shooter where two teams, terrorists and counter-terrorists, try to tactically bake a batch of muffins or do some light reading before bed. This is a real gamer's game, right? It's a very high-skill, fast-paced, just sweaty, damp office chair type activity, so naturally many players relish in disrupting the gameplay here just to piss off the other players, whether they were opponents or teammates. Griefers would do things like standing in front of their teammates to block their view, just straight up killing their teammates, refusing to play and staying idle in the spawn area, or better yet, intentionally playing in such a way that ruined the match, like running into the enemy team and immediately dying, or avoiding the enemy team just to draw out the match as long as possible. It's a real LOL type activity, it's a real rafflecopter. Around the time of Counter-Strike, MMOs also got big. In fantasy RPG games like RuneScape, players could earn items and equipment on their silly little quests that could be traded, or lost when their character died. Many children learned a very valuable lesson when playing RuneScape. Never trust strangers. My cousin played a lot of RuneScape as a kid, and he's told me a lot of stories of other players conning him out of his items. One time he was strolling around the duel arena wearing his best set of armor when a higher level player approached him and said some shit like, "Hey, I like that armor set you're wearing. Tell you what, let's have a stake duel. Go ahead and stake your armor and we'll have a nice little fight here." And my cousin was so young, he had barely developed object permanence at that point. He didn't know what staking meant, so he was like, okay, that sounds like awesome. So he staked his nice armor, the duel began, and this guy just instantly whooped his ass and took all his shit. And right afterwards, he just put it all on and danced around and called up a bunch of slurs. And this isn't even the only time this sort of thing happened. More than once, my cousin's sorry ass was lured out into the wilds and straight up fucking murdered and robbed. You know, before my cousin played RuneScape, he always seemed so carefree and whimsical, but ever since this stuff happened to him, he started to seem more jumpy. One time at his birthday party, I touched his shoulder from behind and he put me in a rear naked chokehold before he realized it was me. Later in the 2000s, team-based shooter Team Fortress 2 came out, and you got the engineer class who could place down different objects in the arena. One such object was the teleporter, which the engineer was supposed to use to help transport their team to the front lines of the battle faster, but griefers took the opportunity to place teleporters in stupid-ass spots that either got their teammates stuck or sent them off cliffs, and then they got vote kicked from the server. Around the time of TF2, ranked matchmaking in online games was kicking off. League of Legends, a game about two colonies of ants fighting over a saltine cracker, came out with its first competitive season in 2010, giving each league player an ELO rating, basically a number for how high you rank in the leaderboards. This update marks the exact moment when gamers got irreparably sweaty. Players really cared, and still care, about this number, particularly about having it go up when you win a lot, but when you lose, it goes down, and it makes you very sad. So, as you can imagine, when you're playing a tense game of League and suddenly one of your teammates starts running across the arena to repeatedly and intentionally die in the enemy team's territory, a type of griefing known as feeding, you might notice your vision start to go completely white. When you come to, you will find yourself on the side of a country road in Wisconsin with a different name. This is completely normal, just contact riot support. Around the same time, the aforementioned game Minecraft came out and dramatically popularized building mechanics in computer games. I'm honestly just bringing up Minecraft again because it's the game that I know the best out of all of these, but I can't imagine a game where griefing was more prolific. It was a game where people dedicated loads of time and passion to building things, and it was filled with naive children. The stakes were so high, and the targets were such low-hanging fruit. There was a whole subgenre of videos on YouTube all about griefing and trolling children. Grown-ass men would make videos of them griefing little kids in this game, just so other little kids would watch and laugh at them. I was one of those kids. I was both. I've been griefed, but I still laughed when I saw other kids being griefed. What the fuck? What can I say? I was trollololo trollolol. Griefing is, generally speaking, both annoying and pathetic. You have to be a very special limited edition flavor of asshole to play an online game and decide you want to grief some random person for no reason. So why do people grief? Do they think it's funny or something? I mean it can be. Griefing, much like BDSM or cuckoldry, stay with me, might not be the most conventional or socially accepted form of interaction, but it's potentially okay so long as it's thoroughly consensual. Left 4 Dead is a cooperative shooter game where you and 3 friends all work together to fight off hordes of zombies, or at least you're supposed to. Back during quarantine, some friends and I had a Left 4 Dead night, and looking back, I can barely remember stuff in this game like the maps or the tense gameplay moments, and I didn't really care about the actual plots of the campaigns we played, yet this night contained some of the most memorable and fun online gaming experiences I can recall, and it was because my friends and I griefed the shit out of each other. So some shit we did. Whenever there was a lull in the conversation, we'd shoot each other in the back and try to blame it on each other. Usually it would just be a bullet or two, just a sliver of health taken off, a love tap. But if one of us ever shot my friend Blake, he'd turn around and unload an entire fucking magazine into the first person he saw. Whenever one of us picked up an explosive, I'd say 7 times out of 10 it was intentionally used on a teammate. Something that I fell for several times was one of my friends would go into a room and say something like, hey, there's a shotgun in here if anyone wants it. And my dumb Caucasian 83 IQ ass would follow him in every time and be like, huh? Where's the shotgun? And my friend would throw down a Molotov cocktail and close the door behind me. Moments like this made an otherwise forgettable night of playing computer games unforgettable. I'd say it was like the video game equivalent of horseplay, you know? It's like when you're drunk in Columbus, Ohio and your friend pins you to the ground and starts smacking you with a tortilla. It's not really a nice thing to do, but if it's not done to ruin anybody's day and everyone's in on the joke, then why not go full Pop Bob? Why not smoke their dumb ass like a rotisserie chicken? Why not teabag them when they're downed? Why not assault them with unleavened bread? Love comes in many forms, and sometimes that form is a giant phallus on the front lawn. That's all I have to say for this video. I hope everyone has a great day, and may every day be another wonderful secret.